In the end of the last video, we saw that when we called our constructor function, we did not return anything. The entire purpose of a constructor function is to construct objects. So when we call the function, we'd really like to have a new object be created. Unfortunately, that's not happening right now. But the good news is, we can fix our problems by using the new keyword. When we use the new keyword, everything magically works. The first house variable is now an object with a bedrooms, bathrooms, and num square feet property. Let's see just exactly what the new keyword does. Just like the keyword this, understanding what the new keyword does can be quite tricky, but review the slides, remember these rules, and most importantly, try coding a couple examples. It will really help your retention of the material. We see that the new keyword is being used with a function. In fact, it must be used with a function, or else you'll get a type error. Let's see why that's the case by examining what the new keyword does. First, it creates an empty object out of thin air. It then sets the value of the keyword this in the function which is being used with to be that empty object that was just created. Third, it adds an implicit return this at the end of the function, so that the object created using the new keyword can be returned from the function. Finally, and this one is the most tricky, it adds a property on the empty object, which can be accessed using double underscore proto double underscore. This double underscore is commonly called dunder, so this property is also known as dunder proto. The dunder proto property links the object that was just created to the prototype property on the constructor function. That last sentence may have seemed like a blur, but don't worry too much for now. We're going to go over it in painstaking detail. For now, let's practice making a constructor function for a dog. Each dog should have a name and age. As a bonus, add a function for each dog called bark, which console.logs the name of the dog added to the string just barked. Pause the video and try this out. So what did you come up with? Hopefully it looks something like this. Here we have a constructor function for a dog. This function accepts two parameters, name and age. Remember, you can name your parameters anything, but since we want to attach properties onto the object that we will create called name and age, we should probably name our parameters the same thing for readability. Inside of the function, we're setting properties on the keyword this equal to the value of what is passed into the function, as well as adding a function called bark onto the keyword this, which console.logs the first name property concatenated with the string just barked. On the next lines, we're creating two variables, Rusty and Fido, and setting them equal to the value of the dog constructor being invoked with the new keyword. Remember, none of this works if we don't use the new keyword. Now, before we recap what the new keyword does, pause the video and see if you can remember any of the four things that the new keyword does. First, it creates an empty object out of thin air. Second, it then sets the value of the keyword this in the function which it is being used with to be that empty object that was just created. Third, it adds an implicit return this at the end of the function so that the object created using the new keyword can be returned from the function. Fourth, it adds the dunder proto property onto the object that was just created. In this video, we examined how to use the keyword new to create objects from constructor functions. We learned about the four things that the new keyword does, which I highly encourage you to review, because we will be covering this in much more depth and knowing the fundamentals is essential. In the next video, we're going to talk about using more than one constructor function and how we can refactor our code to make it even cleaner. See you then.